All right, Shalom, Shalom, everyone, Shalom. This is Brother Yeshaya, Brother Azrael, and Brother Denal, brothers from the Hopeful Elect, coming at you with another Wisdom Wednesday. We want to give, first and foremost, all praises, glory, and honor be to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? And we want to just say Shalom to everyone who will join in. Shalom to everyone that will watch this after the live has ended. But you know, through the Spirit, Most High willing, you all who tune in are edified, regardless if it's during the live or following. But tonight's lesson is titled "Don't Feel Bad for Certain People. Don't feel bad for people in certain situations." So there's a lot to say about it, but tonight I'll just try to keep my, I guess you could say, my tangents to a minimum and let the scripture speak, right? Brothers had anything to add before we get into it?
Shalom.
Khan. So you can pull that first precept for me, Brother Denal. First one. Khan, we'll get right into it, right?
Khan. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.
Khan. So wanted the brother to read this first and foremost because oftentimes in life, man, we have to not, we always talk about how we need to remind ourselves, right? But when we're teaching this word to other people, sometimes it's good to remind them of our whole duty and purpose. Because see, we're not the only ones who go through trials and tribulations in life, right? The we is Israelites, right? Those who striving to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God in spirit and in truth to the best of your abilities each and every day, right? We're the ones who are trying to do the right thing daily. We understand that our whole purpose is to fear the Most High and keep his commandments, right? But sometimes in life, we got to remember that when we're teaching people that we have to teach them the same way, right? Can you go to the next verse in this same chapter real quick? It's important to teach them this is our whole duty. Why? Why is it our whole duty to fear the Most High and keep his commandments?
Verse 14. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
Right. So the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth word in that scripture, right, was judgment. So again, we have to understand that when we're talking about the Bible, we always have to remember that the Most High God is, and I'm not saying we have to remember, right? I'm saying all this and explaining that when we're thinking about friends, family, when we're thinking about people in certain situations, let's not forget the judgment of the Lord. Let's always remember the judgment of the Lord in every situation in life, right? Whether it's happening to you, whether it's happening to someone you know, or whether it's happening to someone that you know that somebody else knows, right? It doesn't matter. Let's never forget the judgment of the Lord in certain situations, right? And that's why the lesson is titled as such, because oftentimes, and this is more so of a gut check to myself. Oftentimes myself, sometimes I can just kind of feel myself feeling bad for certain people, right? Not even thinking sometimes that, hey man, this could very much be the Lord's judgment for them, for certain things that they've done, right? Because it says again, for the Most High shall bring every work into judgment, right? With every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil, right? Now, why is judgment of the Most High so important? If you could, pull up Matthew 23 and 23 for me.
God.
Because I want to be able to establish, right? Why is judgment so important? Why is it important to meditate on the judgments of the Lord sometimes, right?
Con. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 23 and 23. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye pay tithes of mint and anise and cumin, and have omitted the weightier matters of the law.
Uh-huh.
Judgment, mercy,
Judgment. Judgment is the first one. Keep reading though.
mercy, and faith.
Uh-huh.
These ought ye have to these ought ye to have done, and not to leave the other undone.
Right. So we can't, you know what I'm saying, have faith and not, you know what I'm saying, think about the judgments of the Lord, right? But at the same time, you can't have faith, but forget the Lord's judgment and then not want to have mercy on people that go through judgments, right? You got to have all three because all three are weightier matters, right? All three make the law stand on the pillars that they stand on, right? Judgment, mercy, and faith, right? But again, that word judgment is there. And the Most High's judgment is so powerful, right? If you could pull this next precept, you may have to switch your app, but it's in the book of Second Esdras chapter 5 and verse 42. So you're just gonna have to go to the Apocrypha, right? Second Esdras chapter 5 and verse number 42.
This is Second Esdras 5 and verse 42. It says, "And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a ring. Like as there is no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first."
Right. So remember that the Lord's judgment is like unto a ring, man. What goes around comes around. And the Lord is not a respecter of persons. So anybody can get it, man. It says it, dang. I'm not gonna quote where it says it from because it just left my mind. But it says the Lord reigns on the just and the unjust, man. So anybody can get these showers of the Lord. Anybody can be judged. Nobody is without reproach, right? And the reason I'm reading these is to remind people how the Lord operates when it comes to, you know, I guess you could say blessings and curses, right? It's just like we always go back to Deuteronomy 28. The Most High God said, if we follow his laws, we will be blessed. But if we disobey his laws, we will be cursed. And these curses are to serve as judgments for our actions of disobedience, right? If you can go to the book of Baruch chapter 3 and verse 11, right? We're gonna stay in the Apocrypha real quick because we're gonna hit some more in the Apocrypha.
The book
Hold
of
on, start at verse 8. Salakia, start at verse 8.
The book of Baruch chapter 3 and verse 8. "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God."
Right. So again, this was to serve as a judgment, to be scattered into all the earth. It was a judgment because we departed from the Lord our God, right? We chose to follow the customs of the heathen. We chose to do abominable things in the temple. We chose to do all these wicked things when the Lord gave us what he told our fathers he would give us. So therefore, we had judgments sent onto us. And other nations could look at us and be like, man, I feel bad for those people. But at the same time, you got to remember that we did this stuff to ourselves, right? As a people group. And on I guess you could say on a today type of scale or on a individual personal type of scale, we know that we have people who strive to keep the laws, right? Like the brothers that are on the screen and those probably watching in the chat. But if you're somebody who doesn't keep the laws of God, consider some of the things that happen in your life and chalk it up to, well, maybe it's because I'm not following the Lord. That's why this is happening. That's why that's happening, right? Because it's easy to feel bad for someone when you don't understand what they're doing behind closed doors, right? It's easy to feel bad for people sometimes because we're an emotional people sometimes. And I can only speak for myself when I say this. But sometimes, yeah, you want people to not go through certain things, right? Even the Most High said in Ezekiel, he takes no pleasure in killing our people and destroying our people. But these things are done to serve as judgment for disobedience, actions of disobedience. You know what I'm saying? It's like when your parents used to whoop you when you were younger as a child. Well, maybe I'm the only person that probably had this, but a lot of people probably had their mother say this before they got a whooping to them. This is going to hurt me more than it hurts you, right? If you've heard those words before you've ever got disciplined, then you can understand that as a child, man, I used to think like they lying. But as an adult, I can truly understand, right? Having children myself that need discipline, I can truly understand. Having the scriptures that the Most High God left for us to be able to read and return to our laws, I can truly understand because the Most High said it himself, right? But I want to bring up another point. Can we go to the book of Sirach, chapter 19, and start at verse number 25?
Come. The book of Sirach, chapter 19 and verse 25. There is an exquisite subtlety in the same is unjust. And there is one that turneth aside to make judgment appear, and there is a wise man that justifieth in judgment.
Right. So an exquisite subtlety, right? Subtlety is like a craft, right? There's an exquisite craft, right? But at the same time, that person is unjust, right? So we got to remember this is gonna go into the point is going to be explained in the coming verses, right? But we have to remember that there are people that uh I guess you could say are what we call it in Matthew wolves, but they're in sheep's clothing, right? So let's go to the next verse because this will explain itself as time goes on, as we read, right?
Come. Verse 26. There is a wicked man that hangeth down his head sadly, but
Uh-huh.
inwardly he is full of deceit.
So that's all verse 25 was alluding to. There's a wicked man that hangeth down his head sadly, but inwardly he is full of deceit. This is why, again, I titled the lesson, Don't Feel Bad for People in Certain Situations, because a lot of times remember that you don't know these people for real, right? Even
Come,
the
man.
people that you follow on social media that you learn from, you might not know these people for real. So just be mindful about your feelings and emotions toward certain things that happen in their life. Bakan, go ahead, brother. No.
Now, I was about to say, man, this verse reminds me of a brother that I used to know back in the college world, man. His name sounds with Balt, right? He was the king of hanging his head down sadly, but being full of deceit inwardly, right? And just being full of deceit, period, with all the actions that he did. It also reminds me of a precept that we go into a lot um, about godly sorrow and earthly sorrow, right? This shows earthly sorrow because earthly sorrow always ends up in sin again. Why? Because when you have sorrow of the earth, man, you're not really sorry. You know what I'm saying? You go about it, and you're and the outward appearance may look like you're sorrowful, but everybody knows you're not sorrowful because you end up doing that thing over and over again. If you were truly sorrowful, right, you would make it your business not to do that thing again. And so it kind of jogged my mind of that precept as well.
Con, right? Because remember, at the end of the day, you know, the wisdom of this world is foolishness with the Most High God. And that's what a lot of people want to be wise according to the standards of this world. In so much that you follow a religion that's based on actual true history book, which we know is the Bible, right? Because it's made of manuscripts that come from artifacts and parchment and all these different things that existed way, 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 way back when, right? But you follow this book, but yet because man has put their wisdom and understanding on it, you subscribe to their wisdom and understanding because it fits your lifestyle that you want to live. And that's wisdom of this world. It's foolishness with the Most High God. And that's why a lot of times I again, I'm not going to say we, I'm just speaking on brothers and sisters who may struggle with this, or brothers and sisters who may, feel a certain type of way, who may know somebody that struggles with this. Always remember, man, we got to consider that the judgment of the Lord is just. It's like unto a ring, right? What you sow is what you're going to reap. It says that same thing in Galatians chapter 6 and verse 7. We have to remember that some people are going through certain things because they are wicked people, right? Let's read the next verse.
Con. Verse 27, casting down his countenance and
Uh-huh.
making as if he heard not, where he is not known. He will do thee a mischief before thou be aware.
Right. It's just like the movie not Judas and the Black Messiah, but the Book of Clarence, right? Everybody knew he was a thief to an extent, but if you go to a city where you're not known, hey, oh, it's game time. He can make himself, he can humble his countenance, right? It's just like what the Lord talks about in this same, actually in this same book, in the, I want to say, the 12th chapter, where it talks about how your enemy will appear to you as a friend, right? He'll humble himself, make yourself of a lowly estate, and then out of nowhere, bam, then pull the wool over your eyes, right? So you got to beware for certain people like that. This is why it's titled again. Don't feel bad for people in certain situations, because certain people are just being described just like this wicked man. They'll
So
humble their countenance. You go ahead. Somebody has something to say?
Con, I was gonna say, even coming into this truth, you got to be careful about who you give pity on, like the brothers going into, and also who you dealing with and building relationships with. Because in the world, man, they might, for example, it might be a girl you talking to in the world. She might have been the biggest, um, Scarlet A. She could have been the biggest adulterer, fornicator in the world, and then she come in the truth, knowing hey, I get a clean slate in this truth, but she didn't put down her worldly ways, and she done deceived the man into marrying her or giving her the time of day, and now she giving that man hell. Or on the flip side, it could be women, right? You got to be careful about the man that you're dealing with, because a lot of our brothers, man, they don't put down some of those. They don't put down some of those characteristics they had in the world, and they'll put a deception on you because, as the scripture says, they're not known in the nation of Israel. They're not known right now in the truth. They come in the truth. Next thing you know, you're deceived. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, yes, you can't speak on somebody's situation when you see them doing bad because it could be their punishment, but also want to be caught in their punishment either, right? And this is why it's telling you to beware of these people, because you could get caught up with these people and their punishment, you feel the effects of it because you didn't use the wisdom to stay away from these people,
God,
right?
Right,
that's all in the Bible too, man. I think it's cast not no or kindle not the coals of a sinner lest you be found burned alive,
right,
paraphrasing, right? And then also the brother was going into that Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 26 and 23, right? A wicked woman
it's
is
a
given
portion of a wicked man.
to a wicked man, man. You know what I'm saying? So like the brother is going into this lesson, sometimes people sometimes you feel bad for that man because he's going through it at home, but sometimes he might be the cause of having that wicked woman
Or
be his wife.
or that sister. There's an interview I think that Kurt Franklin did recently. Um, I want to say he was on there with Cam Newton and Nick Cannon, and everybody's talking about. I'm glad somebody from the church is finally talking about this. And what was going on was Kurt Franklin is defending all the Christian women, saying that they get the short end of the stick whenever they're left being a single parent, or we don't ever get on the men, but we are quick to get on the women for their mistakes. But as the brothers on this panel on this class is saying, hey, look, usually whatever happens to you is from a judgment that you reaped, right? You can't just blame the man because it probably was some things that you did that got you in that situation. You can't just blame the woman because there's probably some things that you did to get yourself in that situation, or you were deserving of that situation in the eyes of God. Like the brother Yeshaya said in Galatians 6, it says, God is not mocked. You thought you got away. You might have thought you were forgiven, right? And you may be forgiven, but sometimes to forgive, God has to give a punishment first, right? And so we can't look at anybody's situation and feel pity on somebody. We don't know the whole story, and that's why when you like nowadays on TikTok, on Facebook, Instagram, a lot of times you'll see people make those stitches, right? They'll have their face cut out and then a little green screen background of a clip going on. Y'all see this lady right here? This is so and so's mom. Now she grew up in the south side of so and so, and she used to be on drugs, and she gave her daughter up because X, Y. Look, man, stop listening to people that are not the actual people, right? You don't know if that person's telling the truth or not. That's how people come out on social media all the time, celebrities say, I don't know where people have got that from. I'm not in a relationship with so-and-so. No, that never happened. My mom was never on drugs, right? Because we're so quick to listen to people's plights and people and the sadness of people, and all actuality, they're deceiving you for a check.
Con. And you got to think about it like this, man. That goes into, that's why, I say the wisdom that's given in, throughout the scriptures and in its entirety is undefeated, because literally you can really go to the Bible to find any and everything that happens in modern day life today, right? Like we read it in this chapter, just going right along with the brother was just saying, man. You got to beware of people, right? And you also have to beware that you don't fall into the same situations as people, right? I want to go to this verse. If you can pull this up, brother Denal, go to the book of Galatians chapter 6 and verse 1, right? Because it's in that same chapter where we talk of where the brothers just mentioned, you reap what you sow, right?
Galatians 6 and 1.
Con.
It says, brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual restore such a one in the spirit of meekness.
Right. So real quick, let me pause you right there. If you call yourself a spiritual person, you're going to restore them. Do it humbly, right? Don't be boastful and proud. You know what I'm saying about, their I guess you could say their judgment. Why? Because finish this out real quick.
Considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted.
Because you can fall into the same snare that they're given unto, right? You could be subject to the same punishments that they're subject to. So that's why when you restoring somebody, right? If you see somebody that got overtaken, hey, look, right? Remember to consider yourself. Think about yourself, because at the end of the day, again, the Lord is not slack. As there is no slackness of the last, there is also no swiftness of the first, right? So you have to remember the Lord's judgment in every scenario and situation in life. Now, I say that, right, when it comes to restoring someone who's overtaken in a fault, but at the same time, can you go to the book of 1 John chapter 5 and verse 16 real quick?
Con,
and to that point that you just made, right, a physical representation of that would be somebody drowning, right? If you act in haste, you might just jump out there and try to save the person that's drowning, and they end up drowning you. You get caught up in their mess, right? But if you consider your own self first, you'll be patient enough to say, do I have a floaty? Do I have a stick that I can reach out to them? Do I have a rope that they can climb to get? And then you'll execute a lot better, right? So all that wisdom from Galatians 6 is just saying, examine the whole situation before you make a move. Count the cost.
Examine first, then rebuke. Con.
This is the book of 1 John chapter 5 and verse 16. If any man see his brother sin a sin which is not unto death, he shall ask, and he shall give him life for them that sin not unto death. There is a sin unto death. I do not say that he shall pray for it.
Right. So even though we just read that, if you see a brother that's overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual restore such as one in the spirit of meekness, right? But now I'm coming here to show you that, again, some sins we can't even pray for, right? I can't even wish you Godspeed for certain things, because again, in this lifestyle, in this life that we live in today's time, people are committing all manner of wickedness. Now, of course, it's the same wickedness that was going on back in the day, right? But at the same time, the wisdom back then we should learn from now, right? So some things you just can't pray for. If someone's willfully out here blaspheming the name of the Most High God, you can't pray for that, man. Sometimes you got to let what be to happen to them happen, right? If any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant, right? Let every man be persuaded in their own mind. You have to be of a sure faith that, look, the Most High God is the ultimate judge. And if he chooses to change their heart, at the end of the day, that's him who chooses. But I don't have to pray for the Lord to do something that's not in his will to do. I shouldn't even be praying for you if you're committing sins unto death. Why would I pray for a brother that just slept with my wife, right? Why would I pray for that brother
That's something that Christian church would do, man.
Yeah, like why would I pray for a brother that just slept with my wife and asked the Lord to change his heart? Nah, if anything, man, I'm praying, hey Lord, judge his behind. You know what I'm saying?
When Jeffrey Dahmer got arrested and convicted, man, the Christians was praying hard. I know he done killed and molested and raped all these young black men, but Lord, please have mercy on his soul. He's changed.
Right. Can I get a precept real quick?
Con.
Can you go to Sirach chapter 12?
That's madness, bro.
Are you gonna go into it?
Nah, you go ahead. You go ahead. I had it in my notes, but you go ahead.
Did you have Sirach 12 and 4?
Nah, I didn't have 4.
Well, I'll go to verse 4 then.
Nah, you can do your thing. You can go ahead. I was just saying it's not madness, but you know that's the spirit.
I can't. Is this Sirach 12 and 4?
Oh snap! I'm tripping.
That boy in Genesis.
But yeah, man, I was gonna say, man, you never know. Like the brother just pulled out. Nah, Christians aren't going to like this lesson. If they followers of Christ, you know, the actual Christians, they would understand though. But you know,
cause what Christ say? I pray for them. I pray not for the world.
Right?
For them that you have given me.
Right, man. You know, this is nothing new, right? Christ was teaching this, but you know, like the brother said, you know, going into Sirach chapter 12, go to verse 1 actually. I'm gonna read verse 1 and verse 4. But you know, nowadays in Israel, man, we get scammed all the time. Israel is real green, right? When you first come into truth, man, you start seeing all the Africans in your DMs asking for a donation for their orphanage, and then you give and give, and then you realize they ain't gonna stop asking, and you realize you was green, right? But also you got to understand that when we come into this truth, we have such a compassion for our people that that we just want to give and help everybody. We want to be communal. And so that leaves us susceptible to deception. What do I mean by that? So many people, I'll give an example, right? We just read a precept saying that there's some sins that you cannot pray for, right? Let's say that a sister cheats on her husband, right? Let's say that a sister, she cheats on her husband puts her away, right? She's now homeless. She starts a GoFundMe and says, I'm homeless. Can people send me money? Now, she didn't give you a backstory to her story or anything, but because you were scrolling on your Instagram or your Facebook and you saw the GoFundMe, you felt like you should help the sister because you got it right now, not knowing that she committed a terrible sin, and you just aiding to help her out, and God could be judging her, right?
Aiding and abetting, man.
Aiding and abetting. Or it's men that do it too, right?
Ooh.
There's men out there that live on people's couches, that don't want to get a job, knowing that they can get a job, but it's not the job that they want, and they just make GoFundMes and ask people for cash apps and live off of people, right? And you feeling bad for the brother, you know what I'm saying? You gonna cash app him, you gonna help us GoFundMe, not knowing that that brother is scamming his own brothers, right? Aiding and abetting in his sin. So that's why I bring this out. Sirach chapter 12 and verse 1, it says, when thou wilt do good, know to whom thou does it. So shalt thou be thanked for thy benefits. So this, in a nutshell, right? I want to say you can know somebody, right, and do good for them. But if you don't know them, it sounds harsh, but be hesitant for who you do good for, who you don't know. At least have a conversation and ask in-depth questions. If they're really going through it, they'll answer those questions, right? They won't think that they're being attacked because it's sincere. But an example of this would be Job, right? When Job was down and out, he had a group of friends that knew him that came and checked upon him, right? Best believe that sister that made a GoFundMe, my brother that's asking for that cash app, guess what? They have brothers and sisters around them that know them personally. And if they're not helping them out, right, it's a red flag. Everybody has people around them that knows them, whether in the truth or outside the truth. And the way that you live your life is going to determine if people are going to help you or not when you're down bad, right? Verse 4 says, give to the godly man and help not a sinner. That's why we don't just give to every homeless person when we out there evangelizing, right? If you're not a godly man, I don't know what you're gonna do with this money. I don't know what you're gonna do, right? If you're not a godly man, right? We tell brothers and sisters when they do charity, stop just giving it to random people because it says help not a sinner, right? You think you're doing a good thing, and then you causing another man to sin. Now you in sin because Leviticus tell you not to suffer sin upon somebody, right? Because you didn't give to a godly man or a woman. This is why it's important, right, to not act in haste just to, oh, I need to do something charitable. Let me get this off. Let me do this for this sister. Or stop being green and emotional. And when something strikes your heart, because it's the first time you're seeing it, oh, sister really doesn't have nowhere to stay. I guess I'll help her GoFundMe. Ask that sister why she's in the situation she's in. Ask her, where are you staying right now? You don't have anybody around you. Are you affiliated with an organization or a camp? Do you know anybody? Ask her, what's your job? What do you do for a living? Ask these people questions, right? And if they shy away from the questions or if they feel attacked, 9 times out of 10, that's a red flag, right? Don't just give free willy-nilly to people, man. When you read the book of Tobit, even though he had all that money, he didn't give to random hobos off the street. He went out and looked for people that feared God, and then he gave it to them. Pecan.
Can I get a preset real quick? It's gonna go perfect with that.
Con, do your thing.
It says give to the godly man and help not a sinner, man. You gotta understand, right? Hold on, let me pull up this preset before I start explaining. Right. Let's go to Acts 5 and 39. You gotta understand, man. That was a great precept to go to, right? It says this, right, in Acts 5 and 39. But if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it, lest happily you be found even to fight against God. So if God has set a judgment on somebody, right, what you look like trying to help that person when they're getting judged by God, right? You're literally an accomplice. This is why a lot of times bad things happen to those who try to help people out in evil situations, right? Brother just broke out of prison, right? For murdering 2 people. He comes to your place, right? Asking for some shelter, and you let him in there, right? Now you on the news for helping the man escape, right? It's things like this, right? If God puts somebody in timeout, right, for being bad, and you the little kid that goes to the corner while the person's in timeout at the daycare trying to give little Timmy some vanilla wafers, right? And then you getting fussed at by the daycare teacher. Leave Timmy alone. He did that to himself, right? Because people have to learn in a specific way, and nobody can teach better than the Most High himself. So if the Most High is sending judgment to somebody for somebody to learn a lesson, right, do not get in the way of that. But to understand how to not get in the way of that, you have to ask questions like the brother said, right? And it's not being nosy, right? It's being prudent, right? That's the difference between actually living out the Bible and colloquial Christianity. Colloquial Christianity is looking at somebody face value and be like, don't even tell me what you're going through. I can see what you're going through, and giving you a bunch of money and all this stuff just so you can go blow it in a strip club or on some drugs, right? Right. It's all about prudence. Asking questions is not being nosy. It's getting to the bottom of something. It's examining the whole truth first before you rebuke or you help, right? Pecan.
Con, hey, I want to speak on the situation. Well, I'm not gonna go into detail about the actual situation, but I'll say last year, me and the brothers was at a job, right? Because we used to work for the same company, and one day, uh, brothers, I'll say this: the two brothers that you see on the screen, not named Yeshaya, they have uh a good bit of discernment. You know what I'm saying? Not being green to an extent, right? So there was a situation last year where there was a GFM going around, a GoFundMe going around for a certain person, right? And this person was asking for financial support for the simplest things that we all go through on an everyday basis. And we had to have a conversation, you know what I'm saying, with our women about this situation. And like the brother said, through more probing, asking more questions, finding the pain points of that person's situation, we realized, man, that's not expedient to donate to that. Why? Because that's everyday life. You know what I'm saying? There's a multitude of people going through that situation.
If
And
not worse.
right, if not worse. And of course, certain people felt different than we did. You know what I'm saying? Certain people felt totally different than we did. But at the end of the day, you have to use discernment in this truth and not be green and not be ready to open your wallet or send up a prayer for everybody's situation, because you never know what they did to get in that situation, right?
Man, in that situation, um, the girl that was in the center of the situation, man, on her post, she made it seem like she had nowhere to go, and that she was living out her car. And of course, nobody wants to see somebody keeping the law, statutes, and commandments live out their car. So of course, it's gonna spark a lot of emotion in people to get them to put money towards a GoFundMe. Turns out, because like we said, we ain't just gonna preach something to you and not do it. When we questioned the sister, because we were willing to help the sister out. Now, when we questioned her, she was fine. She was living with a friend. She wasn't hungry. She had her own cooking page, right? She was actually okay, right? She was just going through the hardships of life, but um, not knowing that, you could have gave money to somebody that didn't need it when your bills need to get paid, right? And that's why it's important to ask people. And check this out. Remember I said they'll let you know if they're genuine or not. I asked the sister if she needed help. She said no. I said, "Are you sure? Because I see the GoFundMe." I said, "Is there anything that you may need right now?" She said, "Just need your prayers, brother." So why you got to GoFundMe and all you really need is prayers? Because she knows she's deceiving people, and she know not everybody is going to question her about her sob story.
And the crazy part is, man, she's deceiving folks, but at the same time, she still has a somewhat soft heart, not a hardened heart. Why do I say that? It's because when you inquire about these questions and you're asking her these questions, she could still go along with the lines of deception, but she knew she felt guilty, and so she said, "Nah, I don't need any help." Right?
Not only that, the Most High God, man, He sends these trying spirits out in the world to see if we're gonna actually adhere to the wisdom and the word. And when we get caught up and we hit the short end of the stick, or we get caught up in some mess, it's because we're not applying the wisdom of the word. And He's sending those trying spirits to make sure that we're reading, make sure we're studying, and make sure that we're actually living it. But a lot of us, we don't do that, man. And that's why we get caught up in situations that we get caught up in.
We catch strays, spiritual strays, because just like this verse says, we end up fighting against God and don't even know it, right? God
Right.
is trying to do something or show something to somebody, and we trying to be counterproductive to that, right? Sometimes you got to examine the situation the whole way, and you gotta ask yourself, like the brother Yeshai has been saying since the beginning of the video, you got to ask yourself, is this judgment this person is receiving, or is this person truly just going through it, right? And in 2024, it's not hard to pick up context clues, especially on social media, right? On social media, you can pick up context clues just like that. First of all, if somebody has the time, the freedom, and Wi-Fi to post on social media, right? 9 times out of 10, it's not as bad as it making it sound, right? Don't get me wrong, there are some cases out there, but I'm just saying, right? Context clues, right? And you can see the sincerity in people, or you can do like the brother Azrael said and just ask them, genuinely ask them, right? Because one thing about us Israelites, man, if we got it, you got it. If we got it, you got it. But at the end of the day, man, we don't want to just give in vain. You know what I'm saying? And so don't take our questions for disrespect or nosiness. But these things have to be in order, just like it were done back in the ancient days, right? So many steps were happening when any situation popped up. That's why we had the priesthood, man. You had to go before people. You know what I'm saying? This type of stuff sat in councils and stuff like that. People examine the matter. Nowadays, people are careless. You know what I'm saying? Even going to like the seriousness of everything back then versus now, man, girls weren't sleeping around like that back then. Why? Because they took their virginity serious, right? They took who would inquire about their virginity serious, right? They thought twice before they slept with certain folks, right? Nowadays, people don't think, and we get caught up in these silly situations. But
Man, con. And you know, all this is just if you can pull a precept, 1 John 4:1. I think it's 1 John 4:1. Brother said folks be holding signs, ask for money, and they be fresher than me.
hey, that's context clues, man. I'm not finna get. I'm sorry. Now somebody can be fresh and be homeless, right? But why? I'm saying like I'm going through my struggles in this captivity. You out here, your outfit costs more than mine, and you want me to give you some money. You
Well,
just
you
don't
gotta
make
you
sense.
gotta look at it too. You gotta genuinely ask questions because sometimes rich folk drop off some of their old stuff in their closet,
Yeah, I know. I know.
and then you ask the homeless person, "I got this. Somebody just gave me this, bro. Somebody just gave me." We're supposed to say no because they Yeezys. I'm supposed to say no for a Gucci jacket, bro. I need a jacket.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Con, if one of you brothers could read this real quick for me.
1 John 4:1. Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world.
Con, man, we got to try these spirits out here to make sure that they're aligned with what the Most High God uh, prophesied or had the prophets prophesy, right? Because that's Deuteronomy 13. If a prophet come and and that thing which he spoke not come to pass, then that's how you know he wasn't of me. That's a false prophet. And we got a lot of false prophets nowadays using the name of the Lord for, you know what I'm saying, gain. It's just capitalism. That's all it is, just capitalism. They're trying to capitalize on what's hot right now. And what's hot is saying the word Christ, talking about Christianity, you know what I'm saying the word God, understanding that we have to start trying these people. Even our friends who we know that don't follow. If you know you have friends in the world, right, that are not in the truth, or the truth is trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. If you have friends like that are in the world that are not striving to keep these commandments, then when they going through stuff in life, after you've given them counsel about certain things and they go the contrary, man, don't feel bad for these people, right? If they lose their possessions, don't feel bad for these people. Of course, you don't want to see that type of stuff happen. And I'm not telling you that if they hit you up and ask you on a day that is the Sabbath to come help them move their couch out their apartment because they got evicted. I'm not saying Brother Yeshai says don't do it. Find somebody else. Use your discernment. But what I'm saying is you don't have to feel bad for somebody, right? We gotta stop trying to, well, again, I say we, but again, it's always a reminder to myself. To anytime I'm going on here on live, I'm always speaking to myself too. We have to stop feeling so emotional for our people that willfully want to do wrong, right? That's Hebrews 10 and 26. After you receive the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. So if you willfully on a day-to-day basis just trying to live life contrary to what the scriptures say, then I can't feel bad for you, right? That's John 9 and 31, right?
I personally, man, whenever I know somebody's going through something, if I know them and I can help them and I know the situation, I'll do it. But whether I know them or not, I always kind of say a quick little prayer in my head that um, whatever they're going through, I pray that the Most High reveals to them what He wants them to learn from this situation, right? And that that leaves room for error, right? Because He could be putting them, they could be doing things right, and the Most High just wants to build to their endurance or add to their endurance and their patience, right? I pray that the Most High, I pray that this person or this vessel learns it quickly, right? So they don't have to suffer that. Or, they may be getting punished. And I pray that they learn their judgment quickly so that they can get out of that situation, right? Instead of being emotional about it, just put it in God's hand and put everything in the Most High's hands, man. Because
One thing I will say, man, you know, it's really all about prudence and self-preservation, right? Imagine if you were in the wilderness, right? And or like the let's say America, it has been sieged. Everybody was in the wilderness. Everybody was trying to make it and keep their family safe, right? Everything that would happen, you would second guess. You wouldn't just help everybody that needed help, because everybody needed help. Is going to need help around there. Everybody's going to look homeless. Everybody's going to look terrible. Everybody's going to be hungry, right? But self-preservation makes you think twice about helping somebody, right? Not only that, 9 times out of 10, when you get in that mode, of prudence, right? And it's gonna sound kind of bad at face value, right? When you get in kind of a self-preservation mode, or more of a selfish mode to protect you and yours, right? First. And that's gonna often lead to a mindset of not being charitable to everybody you see. When you finally get that unction or that discernment that's weighing on your spirit to help somebody out, usually that's the right time to act on it, right? When you walk around and you don't aim just to help anybody out, usually the Most High will send that spirit on you to help somebody randomly. It happens to me all the time, right? Randomly, I don't know why I'm thinking about this person. I don't know why I'm thinking about this person's situation, right? But randomly, the Most High would put it on my heart to help somebody out, right? And I think if once you get in tune with that and that discernment, it'll be a whole lot easier when trying to help somebody out in those certain situations.
Con, con. Always got to remember that at the end of the day, man, you can only control what you can control, right? And I'm speaking on this lesson just to serve as a reminder that, not everybody's going through something because the Lord is trying to build their faith, right? Some people are getting judged for the wickedness that they've committed against the Most High God. So you always, I mean, you could say that's a builder of faith too, but what I'm speaking to is those who are, you know what I'm saying, like willfully trying to stray away from keeping the laws of God. They may have people like you in their corner to help them and educate them and give them the wisdom that the Most High God wants us to obtain, right? Not the wisdom of the world. But if they're just turning their back and then things start happening in their life, man, don't be that person to be continuously be green and to be in their corner and just be like, hey, I'm here for you if you need me. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being there to give words of wisdom, but it's something wrong when every time they're going through something in life, you're the first person that try to like kind of block the judgment of the Lord. They short $500 on rent and they hitting you up, not knowing that, like the brother said earlier, they just went to the club or they went to Miami this past weekend and now they short $500 on their rent, right? They in there popping bottles, getting drunk, listening to all type of manner of wickedness and abomination, eating abominations while they're down in Miami. Then they come back home. They didn't count the cost. Now they need money for rent. Oh, they know you're a God-fearing woman or they know that you're a God-fearing man. They hitting you up. Hey, look, I'm hey, they don't even say they say, bro, I'm short on sis, I'm short on, can you help me? Can you help me? Right? Don't again, don't always be green, bruh. We know what people have going on, especially in our interpersonal lives, right? We know what people have going on sometimes, right? Not all the time, but sometimes. And if you know this a certain person that's been getting over on you, right? Or you know a certain person that's going through something, you've given them counsel, you've tried to help them walk in the commandments of the Lord, They didn't want to follow it. Now all hell is breaking loose in their life. Hey, don't stop blocking the judgment of the Lord. Let people fall in this word sometimes, and maybe that'll be the thing that changes and converts their heart, right? But
God.
um, I didn't have. That's all the precepts I had, man. I don't have nothing else. If brothers wanted to add anything in closing,
I was gonna say, recently today, man, I kind of got irritated with social media because, like the brother Denal was saying, we 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 living in that time now, right? I don't care what nobody say. We living in that time where you can't trust no one, right? Now they got all over the news now that there's some hackers that supposedly hacked a lot of people's social securities numbers and stuff like that, and could possibly pose a threat. But just on social media alone, right? Everything is for views and clicks because everything is monetized now. You can make money off of everything. So I'm like, I'm scrolling. I'm like, man, I slick feel like I'm being used because I know they getting paid per view on this little reel. I'm not getting no money from that. I'm just adding to these folks' live. And a lot of us we got to think about the things that we double tap and like and stuff too, because a lot of the folly and stuff that we double tap and like, whether that be from rappers or celebrities or whatever, when we put in money in a lot of these people's pockets, man, and they don't keep the commandments of the God of God. You know what I'm saying? We aiding and abetting by doing that, right? And that goes also to when you see a celebrity down bad, and they make posts and stuff and they need help. Hey, just because you're a celebrity don't mean that you get the help, brother. But people end up feeding into that because that's their favorite celebrity, or they believe the sob story, right? Or even your homeboy, man. A lot of our homeboys from the world, man, are still trying to make it as rappers, right? Even in the truth, I ain't gonna lie. Some of y'all, I feel like y'all trying to make it in the world too. Like y'all trying to, play the field. And the thing is, when you catch yourself in a sketchy situation where you almost sold your soul, or you almost agreed to do some folly, or you almost talked to somebody you shouldn't be talking to, and then you reap the judgment of it. Now you expecting brothers and sisters to come to your aid, right? Because you fell on hard times. And it's just little tiny things, man. You never know what somebody could be doing behind closed doors. And that's, I feel like, what this lesson is geared towards, man. You never know what brother is struggling with lust and he done messed something up. You never know what sister is messing with greed, or she's being masculine, right? You never know the decisions and the choices that these people make behind closed doors to end them up in the situations that they are in.
Right.
You only gonna see what they want you to see. And what they want you to see is always gonna be pretty. Nobody wants to see nothing ugly, man. They gonna, even if it look ugly, best believe they made it pretty. So think about how ugly it really is, right?
Right. Right, man. And it's nothing our uncle Charleston White hasn't been saying. You reap what you sow, right? Stop feeling bad for these rappers that always talk about killing folks and always killing folks, right? You know what I'm saying? That's just what has to happen. You know what I'm saying? When they die, don't start saying, "Oh, they were such a good person," this, that, and the third, right? Don't go trying to help pay for the funeral and all of that stuff, right? That person got what they got coming to them, right? And sometimes judgment isn't pretty. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes judgment is a hard pill to swallow, but it has to happen. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
just
yeah,
because
yeah,
you have
yeah,
the
yeah,
love,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, you guys
yeah,
have,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, homie, yeah, homie, and yeah, I believe this generation they just all going to hell, homie. They
Man,
this is generation that got to get the way, homie. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
so when you look at it, man, you know what I'm saying? Um, it's everything in this life, man, especially social media, it's all an illusion, right? Like the brother was saying. And nowadays it's kind of hard to feel sorry for anybody, right? Because nobody has those type of morals anymore. You really get to talking to somebody and you be like, oh, okay, that's why, you know what I'm saying, you got what's coming to you. You know what I'm saying? First you feel bad, but then again, man, we gotta stop. the subtitle for this video should have been "We Gotta Stop Being Green." You know what I'm saying? Because the world, I mean, a lot of us are just super green, right? And we let others also contribute to us adding to the fuel of sinners, right? Because you got other people saying what you should do to help somebody else out, right? And you know what I'm saying? And and a lot of people can't handle that pressure, and they end up going to helping that person and getting burnt, right? Literally and spiritually, right? And so, man, I would say for for my closing statement, for us to have a little self sense of self preservation before making any decisions, and examine the whole truth, like the brother's been saying the whole time. Before you examine the whole truth, before you give, right? Paraphrasing.
Con, man. Because everything is of the Lord, man. Everything is of the Lord at the end of the day. And this is, again, we're understanding that there is judgment of the Lord. We did lessons before talking about the judgment of the Lord. The Lord has judgment, but at the same time, there will be a time to give mercy, right? And when there's time to give mercy, we'll go into that, right? But we have to be merciful towards one another. But at the same time, let's not try to block the Lord's judgment. Stop being so green all the time, you know? That goes for myself included. But I don't got nothing else to add. So with that, man, I want to say Shalom, our praises to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for another Wisdom Wednesday. Most High willing brothers and sisters were edified. Those who were joined live, those who will tune in following the live, when this is already uploaded to the YouTube, Most High willing, you're edified as well. But Lord willing, we'll be back on here tomorrow for Think About It Thursday. But it's your brothers from the Hopeful Elect signing off saying Shalom.